Can Utah solve Trump's critical mineral dilemma? Why lawmakers think Utah can become the critical mineral capital of America. So, the top power brokers in the Utah legislature announced on Tuesday one of their aims for the 2026 legislative session is to make Utah the #1 destination for critical mineral extraction and processing in the country. By doing this, Utah may help solve the dilemma faced by President Donald Trump as he attempts to strengthen his tariff regime by reducing American dependence on China for materials that are essential to national security. When President Trump was negotiating with those who are in that other country, critical minerals was a big part of the tariff negotiations. So what we're doing in Utah is a big solution, said President Stuart Adams. On Tuesday, Adams and House Speaker Mike Schultz opened the state legislative session, promising to invest in Utah's long-term prosperity with an overhaul of national critical mineral production at the center of their vision. So even years ago, during even Biden's term, the U.S. was like, okay, we got screwed because like COVID happened, and we realized that these critical minerals are very important to the U.S. for our security, for our longevity, for our military, because we are the world's police. And it says somewhere in here, I believe that, yeah, right here. So the United States is 100% dependent on other nations for a dozen of critical minerals. So currently there are some critical minerals that we are 100% dependent on other countries. It's not all of the 60, but there are some. So there are 60 critical minerals. Here they are. This is put out by USGS. The Trump administration came up with these 60. I don't know how they came up with them. Don't really care. But I know that they come because of AI, the new electric vehicles, new innovations that we're making with like robotics and everything. And then most importantly for the U.S., the military, because the U.S. loves our military and we love being the world's police. So here they are. There are 15 that are considered rare earth elements. My understanding of rare earth elements are that it's not that they're rare, it's that you don't find them in one place. They're always separated. They're always just like scattered about. And so you kind of just have to mine everything. And then as you just get them as you go. And currently China extracts and refines 50% of the US's current intake of these critical minerals. So 50% of all the critical minerals that we get, or at least of 21 of them, are coming from, I think 21, I saw some map, are coming from China, which means we have this huge dependence. COVID happens, supply lines get disrupted, we start seeing problems. I'm sure that we wanted to make some bombs so that the US government could kill more people. And we're like, China, you're not producing these critical minerals so we can make more bombs, right? I kind of jest, but there's a little truth to it. So here they are, and the U.S. critical mineral dilemma, what to know. So let's read a little bit from here. So in 2022, so this was a few years back, the U.S. government identified 50 minerals considered critical to the U.S. economy and national security. These minerals, such as cobalt, lithium, play essential roles in a variety of industries, including energy, defense, healthcare, and transportation. Yet despite their strategic importance, the United States remains heavily dependent on foreign imports for the majority of them. China in particular, again, 50%. Yeah, I guess we can read that. The U.S. government defines critical minerals as non-fuel minerals or materials that are essential to the country's economic or national security and whose supply chain is vulnerable to disruption. This could be because of limited availability, lack of domestic production, or geopolitical risks. So among the most important of the groups of the 17 metals known as rare earths, which we talked about that, there's 15 on the list. Where does the United States source its critical minerals? According to the 2025 USGS report, China supplies more than 50% of the U.S. demand for 21 non-fuel mineral commodities, naturally occurring materials typically extracted by mining. So one of the issues is generally most of these minerals, when my understanding is when you go mining for most of these, they're more of a byproduct when you search for something else. So like the Kennecott copper mine in Utah, they probably pull up the majority of these or maybe half of these or something. They pull up a lot of these other critical minerals, but their focus is on copper, but these other minerals come at the same time. And so Utah's like, hey, we have these. Why don't we now refine them, and then we can start selling them at prices here. And the only reason that's happening is because of things like the CHIPS Act that Biden started, which is something I praised him with. I don't think that the execution of it was the best, but like the idea in theory is great because we do need to we do need to bolster our national security and everything. And then strongly because of Trump's tariffs. So right now, because of Trump's tariffs, we're able to help Utah or other countries in the United States become competitive with their pricing. Part of the issue is when we offshore to China, China uses slave labor wages. What am I trying to say? The wages there are just not acceptable for like an American. And so we get out cooked. Like, this is the funniest thing. I don't know how many of you know this, but we will extract wood, or we'll chop down wood, right? We got our forests here in the United States. We ship it to China where they refine it and they send it back. That's how much cheaper it is that we ship it across an ocean and bring it back instead of just doing the refining in Utah itself for this wood that we harvest. So there's a lot of this like weirdness that goes on, and we should be better at dealing with this, especially since the U.S. considers China, they're considered like an adversary. So again, 60 Minerals, here we are. Yeah, here's our dependencies. So 21 of them come from Canada, 21 come from there, Russia 4, Brazil. So besides China, what other countries? Don't really care right now. How are President Trump's trade and economic policies affecting access to critical minerals? So the Trump administration is again framing critical minerals as a national security priority using trade and economic tools, namely tariffs and regulatory action to secure U.S. access. In April, the administration launched a Section 232 investigation into processed critical mineral imports and their derivative products to determine whether to levy tariffs to protect U.S. supply chains. So effectively, they have instituted tariffs. The tariffs are specifically to help give Americans the ability to start refining and extracting these critical minerals for our own infrastructure so that we're not reliant on the rest of the globe for these things. So that's kind of a quick little breakdown there. So one of the cool things here, they did a study in, May 14th, 2024. A lot of this study comes from, I guess, 2023 even. So there was, in 2023, there was a lot of funding. I guess we'll go to the funding first. So Bipartisan Infrastructure Law funds geochemistry surveying in Utah. So Utah received $300,000 for mining to like check the mines. Utah also received from the Bipartisan Infrastructure Law, helps map critical mineral resources in Utah. So they mapped Utah, and where's the number that, oh yeah, 6.6 million back in 2023. And then there was this one. So the Biden-Harris administration awards planning grants to advance production and manufacturing of critical minerals in Utah. As part of the president's Investing in America agenda, the U.S. Department of Commerce leverages Tech Hubs program to spur regional innovation and job creation. So whatever, but basically, again, this is part of the like CHIPS Act. This is part of Biden recognizing the failure of the U.S. of having any type of inside source for these critical minerals that help us to create our AI chips, the chips for our missiles that we make to, again, go blow up people in other countries. And then just, like electric vehicles, new innovations, as it said, also like in healthcare, there's a lot of new technology that are requiring these types of minerals for just like various different reasons. And so we need them. So the U.S. was like, we got to do something about that. So good on Biden-Harris doing something there to bring that in. We got a lot of funding here in Utah specifically for this. And during those surveys, we found that the top jurisdiction in the world for investment based on Investment Attractiveness Index, which takes into the account the impact of both policy factors and mineral endowment, is Utah, followed by Nevada. So Utah got first place. Now, we got first place in the Investment Attractiveness Index and the Policy Perception Index, which is another reason why 2026, I think they're trying to keep this as first. I think they want to make sure that Utah remains first in both areas. And then the Best Practice Mineral Potential Index, apparently we got third. So I'm sure that this is also part of, I think what they're trying to do, our legislature, is like, let's improve everything in Utah so that more and more investments want to come here. Investments are good for Utah. It means we're going to make more money. It means that our economy will be better. I like to see it on the short term, long term. We'll see how it plays out. Again, I'm more worried about like, we're like doing all of the short term benefit for AI. And then it's like AI is probably just going to screw us all over anyways. I don't know. I'm a little black pilled on AI. So there it is. Now, all I really want to end with is I'll just kind of summarize up. Donald Trump is making some really great moves in this area. I do think that the U.S. has to do its part to make sure that we don't offshore everything. We do need to have some manufacturing in the United States. We do need to make sure that we are having some of these critical minerals coming from the U.S. Utah is placed in a very great place right now to have these minerals, because there's so many of these minerals. We're in a great place to receive this investment, to receive funding. There's going to be federal grants, I'm sure, that will come out to help fund all this, and then obviously private investors. Generally speaking, I used to consider myself more libertarian when it came to, like, you know, having a free market and everything. And I'd love a free market, but we're not there. And I think the world's getting ready for something big. So you know what? I'm here now. Let's do it. Let's do the minerals. Let's pump money into this. Let's make our economy good. With that said, I don't want these jobs to go to people from out of state. I don't want to have to bring people from out of state. Now, I'm not saying that people from out of state can't come to Utah and work these mines. I'm saying what a fantastic opportunity for Utahns, especially young Utahns right now. If you know someone in high school or going to college and they're trying to figure out what they want to do with their life, maybe lead them down this road. Here's a job that is very important in this. Let's see. Okay, mining and geological engineers. There was, the website like moved on me. There we go. So mining and geological engineers, go to engineering. Okay, if you got an engineering type mind, go into geological engineering. They make $101,000 per year, $101,000 per year median income from 2024. That's great paying. You only need the bachelor's degree. It's going to take a few years for these buildings to get put up. So that's perfect. Like if you're going to college right now, would be a great time to get into geological mining, geological engineering. Work experience, none. On the job training, none. Number of jobs in 2024, 7,000. So like there's not that many. And if Utah is trying to expand, we're going to need more. So what better time to do it now if you're in Utah? Job outlook, 1% slower than average. It'll probably there. I think this is going to be a little bit. I think this would be a little bit higher now based on the critical minerals and everything. Like again, it's not going to be too big, but I think it would be bigger than 1%. So what do they do? Mining and geological engineers design mines to safely and efficiently remove minerals for use in manufacturing utilities. You got to go get a bachelor's degree in engineering to enter the occupation. The pay is great. Not bigger jobs. Like it's not a growing one. So like not too many of you, but again, I would prefer Utahns to get this job. So again, if you know someone in high school that's just graduating or just joining college and they don't know what to do with their life, point them in this direction, especially if they've got an engineering type brain. This would be great. It pays really well. There's other jobs that you can get related to this that, like we're getting so much more advanced technologically with how we mine that you could go get a trade in like automated like robots, right? There's trades you can go into. They'll obviously need some actual miners, so maybe it's a good way for you just to like some individuals who maybe don't do so well with school. You could just go work as a miner. But it looks like this is going to be building. I think it's a good thing for Utah. I think it could help bolster our economy, especially if we are producing 25% of the U.S. needs. That would be awesome. So I'm going to leave it there. If you find anything I said confrontational, go ahead and let me know in the comments. You can find me on X at Reese J. Crockett. The channel on YouTube and Rumble is Reese Crockett. Go ahead and share this video. Again, if you know somebody who's wanting to know what to do with their life, send them this video, or at the very least, just encourage them to go get into geological engineer. Go get that degree. It'd be a good one. So we'll leave it there. So until next time.